Live on Facebook.
Live on Facebook, April 9th, 2019. Talking today about a new field of medicine with Dr. Kurt Fisnick. And we appreciate you being here today, Doc.
You bet. Thanks for being here every week. I was just taking some notes and looking at some things and today you want to talk about Senolytics a little bit, didn't you? Yeah. I found a YouTube video that I thought was kind of I don't know. I thought it was kind of good, and so yeah. I want to play this video. It was a video of Norm Macdonald, that comedian. He's kind of funny, and he says that he's talking about heart attacks, and he said here we got all these different things. We're all worried about plane wrecks and car accidents and terrorists and all this stuff. He said your chances of being attacked by your own heart is more likely than being attacked by a terrorist.
Right.
And I just thought it was kind of cute. It was kind of funny. So he goes through and he talks about, he says, we're so worried about all this other stuff. He said, why don't we pay attention to our own health?
Yeah.
And figure out how to attack the heart before the heart attacks us.
Yeah, as they're drinking Monster drinks and eating Twinkies.
That's right. And he said, so his main goal in life every day, he gets up and he looks in the mirror and he goes, I'm not going to die.
That's a good proclamation.
Right. So his goal in life is just, I'm not going to die. And I thought that was kind of funny, and that's his secret to longevity.
It is. Good positive attitude and great proclamations over yourself.
That's right. And so I thought that was kind of cool. And do you know who Aubrey de Grey is?
I do. He's one of the forerunners in the anti-aging movement. However, he looks like Father Time.
He does look like Father. But how old is he? 195?
I think he's like 50 something. But
he
looks
he on
like
the 50s?
95.
Oh yeah, he's got that long beard. Looks like he could be with ZZ Top. He looks like he could be with ZZ Top. I met him out in California about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was shocked when I first saw him. I was like, really? You're promoting anti-aging and you look like you're ancient.
Right? But, so he says that with senescence, like what we're talking about, he said that, society or science is finally kind of catching up to some of the things that he's been talking about for nearly 20 years.
Yeah, I was just doing a little research myself, and actually they discovered these cells in the 50s. But nothing was really done further than that until around 2008, 2011. So when they really started researching into, well, what do these cells do anyway? And I love the non-medical name for them, zombie cells.
Zombie cells. Yeah.
Zombie cells.
Zombies.
And they are zombies. And they literally destroy you.
Well, when we talk about senolytic cells, and zombie cells, the whole thing is that, like I posted on Facebook this morning, Andrea, when you're driving down the road and you're in a hurry, inevitably somebody's going to get in front of you, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Somebody that's just kind of driving around like, oh yeah, look at the bird over there, right?
Get out of my way.
Looking at the trees, looking at the leaves and the trees, right? They're going to get in your way on the day that you're running behind.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they don't just get in your way. They go in, they're going to the same place that you're going.
They go out of their way to get in your way.
Yeah. And so what happens is that they stop you from getting to where you're supposed to be. They put you behind. And I kind of compare that to senolytic cells.
Okay.
Senescent cells. And the reason why is because these are the cells that get in the way of your body getting healthy are typically those senescent cells.
So, I mean, the articles I've seen, it's basically a cell that is dysfunctioning and has kind of gone into a dormant state. Is that true? And then in that dormancy state, it gives off toxins. In fact, I have a quote here. Somebody said, zombie cells create a cocktail of foul factors. These zombie creations produce inflammation and drives just about every disease of aging.
Yeah, right. That I wrote that down too. I wrote down some stuff that, they accumulate with age, and they're responsible for a lot of the diseases, fibrosis, compromised regeneration, things like that. But I don't know if it's because they go dormant. They're really,
What's
I don't
wrong
know.
with them? Where'd they come from? Why are they
Yeah,
dead?
I really wouldn't even say that they're dormant. I think that they're like that guy driving down the road in front of you, and they just don't want to get out of the way. And in the case of a senescent cell, all of our cells are programmed with a certain amount of life. Like, this cell is only supposed to live this long.
Uh-huh.
And what happens is that they don't listen to the message anymore. They don't listen to the message. Right.
Or, I saw a lot of information that it's basically DNA damage that produces these cells. So then you're looking at radiation damage, x-rays, flying a lot, toxins in our environment, things like that. They kind of put them in this state.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I was reading on it too, because I thought radiation, and they said that radiation really doesn't accumulate, but the damage from the radiation does accumulate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damage, yeah.
But we're hit with DNA damage all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So our DNA is being damaged, and then it's not being repaired, and those damaged cells aren't being taken out of the picture.
Right. It was, like a lot of factors that we've talked about. As you age, your body's ability to remove them lessens. Like, children can get rid of them easily, I think, more than older people. Just like everything, we don't repair as well. We don't, all kinds of things we don't do as well. And so there's a buildup of them as you age.
Yeah, the accumulation of those. Yeah. And what happens is that when you're younger, the other thing that happens when you're younger is that you do have a better stem cell system. You have
Right.
one stem cell for every 10,000 cells. When you're our age, you have one stem cell for every 500,000 cells, for example. And when you get to be my parents' age or your mom's age, you have one stem cell for every 2 million cells in your body.
Yeah, I've heard I'm down to like 5%. I don't like that. I'm trying to extend that.
Yeah. So you have the decrease in the number of repair cells, because that's what they are, the repair cells. And then on top of it, your stem cells have gone into senescence as well.
Right.
And as the stem cells have gone into senescence, the body just doesn't repair as quickly.
Okay, so a really quick definition of senescent cells would be what? For people who want to just share this information with others.
Well, I think my definition really would be, it'd be those cells that they're getting a signal that says, hey, something's wrong, please die, and they're not listening to it.
Right.
That's what I would say.
That's a good definition. Cells that should be dying and getting out of the body that refuse to leave.
Yeah, they're just not listening to the message that the body is sending and saying, get out of the way. We can't replace you until we get rid of you.
They're like a bad boyfriend. It won't go away.
Is that how it is?
How about that one?
And then you got to call the sheriff on them, right?
Right. Yeah, let's get the sheriff.
Right. But so I just wrote some things down here. So a lot of the research that's been going on for the last 15 or 20 years has really been going on using chemo chemotherapy type drugs to selectively remove these senolytic cells.
You know how I feel about that.
You feel the same way that I do, but really that's what the researchers, even Aubrey de Grey, he says that's the number one approach, is using a drug that will take out those senolytic cells, but the damage that it caused to healthy cells.
Right. It's an exchange then, really, because the senolytic cells are causing damage to good cells around it. And then you put chemicals in there that cause damage to cells. I mean, what's the exchange there? It's like pretty even then. In fact, I'd probably go with keeping my senolytic cells rather than putting more toxins in my body.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've heard me say that last summer, Mayo Clinic made a great big announcement that they were going to be the leader in anti-aging medicine.
Yeah, I heard that.
Right. And guess what they're basing all of their stuff on?
Drugs.
They're basing it on chemotherapy.
Yeah.
They found that a certain chemotherapy, which that's what it does, is it goes after the damaged cells. But like we just said, like you were just saying,
collateral damage.
The collateral damage. That's the word I was looking for. The collateral damage is too great. So what's option number 2?
Finding something natural that will kill our senolytic cells.
Yeah. Or preventing the cells from going into senescence in the first place.
There you go.
Right. And I think that's the big option, is prevent them from going into senescence in the first place. Don't let them become that Sunday afternoon driver on a Tuesday afternoon when you're going to your appointment.
Right.
Right. And so how do you do that? Is that you continually remove the cells from the system. You know what that's called?
No, what's it called? Oh yeah, apoptosis.
No, that's when the damaged cells explode. But autophagy, you've heard of autophagy, right?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, so autophagy is when your body goes through the process of taking those old, dead, dying cells and pulling them out of the system.
Ah, okay.
Right?
Say that again.
Autophagy. AUTOPHAGY.
Okay.
Right? And then there's something called a mitophagy, that's basically when you're taking those cells, and as you're taking them out of the system, you're also taking them apart. Because our body kind of has more or less like I don't know. I mean, I like to go to swap meets for old car parts, and I buy, swap meet parts. I know you refurbish old things as well, mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And so you're reusing parts, and right. So the body does that. The body is really efficient at taking things apart and then reusing them to rebuild cells.
Okay.
And so this is where a lot of the science is going now, is how to take and get the body so that we remove those cells and preventing it in the first place, and not just trying to repair the cells, because if you try and repair some of those cells, they're too far gone.
Yeah.
Too far gone. And so, I mean, when we take a look, like here, I'm just kind of going over a few things that I just took notes on this morning. When you take a look at senescence, it causes organ failure, and it causes all of the aging diseases. But let's just look at say osteoarthritis, for example. Osteoarthritis is where the cartilage gets damaged, mm-hmm. and it's causing cell death inside the cartilage, and that causes the matrix to break down, and that's why the joints tend to wear out. So the stem cells, what we've done over the course of the last 15 or 20 years is we figured out that we can take stem cells from a younger person and we can put them into an older person. And so we put those new stem cells in. I can give myself a new joint by doing that. Right. So that's one way that we can do that. Or we can take and we can say, well, why don't we take and get the body's natural stem cells to start working better.
Mhm.
Right. And you and I know about products that do that with the H pill from Sizzle. What a great product, right?
Sizzle.
Yeah. I mean, just tell people a little bit about, kind of your story. What's the H pill done for you?
Oh, restoration for sure. I call it the restoration product. My skin has improved greatly. My
You look great.
mind cleared out. Like, I couldn't remember numbers. I couldn't remember anything. And that was within the first month. I could remember again. It was amazing. And it's still amazing to me. I still, to this day, I'll do things and I'll go, oh my, I couldn't have done that before. And now I can do it. So it's just amazing. Got rid of nerve pain in my body. After 4 months, neuropathy left. After 7 months, an ankle nerve that I had a lot of pain in, that just went away. Fixed the veins in my hands. Like, they used to be all puffy, like my mother's, who's 23 years older than me. And you just hold your hand up and they'd be all, these wrinkled little worms on top of your hand.
What about your hair?
Oh yeah, my hair color is coming back. It's a little light, still up through here. But in the back, it's back to its deeper red color that it used to be. My eyesight's improved. I mean, it's just basically restoring a lot of things that I can tell on the outside. But what I'm really excited about is that if it's doing that on the outside, it's doing it on the inside too.
That's right. Yeah, and so what we're talking about, folks, for those of you that have just joined us or you haven't heard about the H pill, the H pill is a product from Sizzle, the company that Andrea has listed on her shirt there, and it's a product that, using modern science that has come up with a way of reactivating some of the stem cells in your body that, like Andrea was using the word dormant earlier. In this case, it really is. It's cells that have kind of gone into a dormant state and bringing them back to life and getting your body so it reactivates, but gets those stem cells so that they multiply as well. So at our age, instead of having one stem cell for every 400,000 or 500,000 cells, we can start moving back toward what it was like when we were younger, when we had one stem cell for every 10,000 cells.
Yes, definitely.
I went for a walk with my dog, with Chewy, this morning. I've been doing it every day now that it's finally getting nice out, and I just noticed that, compared to 2 years ago, I can walk so much further.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just really like that. I can feel it. So another thing that we can do besides the H pill is something called intermittent fasting. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, very. Yes.
Yeah. Tell folks what intermittent fasting is.
Intermittent fasting is choosing or not desiring to eat for lengthy periods of time. For instance, a lot of people are, you typically have your last meal of the evening about 6 o'clock, right? And so then you're going all night without eating, and then you may not eat again until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So you're putting a longer time of not eating, which improves the body greatly. Like, people who restrict calories more, and people who do this improve their immune system. And the restriction of calories actually lengthens your life. They found that it lengthens your life. You're healthier longer. Your health span extended from intermittent fasting. So who knew?
So when you're saying intermittent fasting, I mean, really, when I started reading about intermittent fasting and diets, that basically it's like calorie restriction.
Yeah,
it's like the old caloric restriction diet from the 1960s or 50s, just saying, don't eat as much as you think you need. Don't eat every time you feel like you have a little hunger pain. Cut back a little bit. But all they're doing is they're controlling, and they're saying, well, Andrea, don't eat from 6 o'clock last night till noon today, and that's 18 hours.
Well, I can tell you that some people who are sugar addicted would find that just torturous. They would find it unable to do that. They would be like dying all morning wanting some food, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do this very often. In fact, I haven't eaten yet today. But the thing is, your body has a natural mechanism to help you with that. And so you're either a sugar burner or a fat burner. And I truly believe, based on a lot of information I've seen, we were really designed to be fat burners, not sugar burners. And so our society and the availability of food and different things like that have created us all to pretty much sugar burners or sugar addicted, really, because and what's sugar? It's a fuel. It's like when you build a campfire and you have kindling and you're burning that and it burns up very quickly and you have to just keep adding it, right? But if you throw in a nice dry piece of oak on there, it's going to burn for hours. So fat burning is like burning oak versus twigs in your campfire.
Well, wouldn't it be more like if you took some diesel fuel and threw it on top of the fire?
Well, it could be, but I just like to think of it as once you've kicked into what they call ketosis and you're actually fat burning, you're actually using your own body's fat as fuel. Your fuel is there. It's
That's
already
right.
there, and it gives you great energy, because this is the other thing that happens. When you eat, it triggers an insulin. When you eat sugar, it triggers insulin. Insulin is required for your brain to use sugar as fuel, or the substances that come from the sugar as fuel. When you're being a fat burner, you don't need the insulin. So therefore, you're not wearing out that insulin system.
But here's the problem, Andrea, and this is a problem that scientists are really looking into, is that when you're doing the fasting and you're burning the fat,
Mm-hmm.
aren't most toxins fat soluble?
Probably.
Not probably, they are, right? And so most toxins are fat soluble. And so what happens is all these toxins that the body doesn't know how to get rid of, because inside of our cell has a really good system for dealing with toxins. Inside the cell. Inside the cell, the body knows toxin gets in, let's wall it off, let's push it out, let's get rid of it. And we get rid of it, through different methods, sweating, urination, defecation, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can get rid of toxins that way. But the toxins that accumulate on the outside, the extracellular toxins, what happens with them is that the body doesn't know how to get rid of them. And so what happens is that then these cells, they accumulate, and the body says, well, we got to put them someplace safe. And so it won't pull them into the cell, but it puts them in the fat. Mm-hmm. And so now somebody who's got an overabundant toxic load, they've got all this fat accumulation that because they had to make new places to store all these toxins. So if we're going through this intermittent fasting that you're talking about, they found that the body won't burn the fat if it's loaded up with toxins. It'll sit there and it'll start burning your muscle more than it'll burn the muscle more than it will the fat, because it doesn't want to re-release the toxins back into your system. So this
eliminate toxins.
So this and that's basically where I was going. Yeah, you have to eliminate the toxins, get the toxins out of the cell, and we have a great product for that from Sizzle again. Guess what that product is? Actually, two of our products. Two of our products.
One is H2 for sure.
No, not that. That H2 helps, but it doesn't really move toxins in and out like that. Okay. Because the H2 helps power the mitochondria, which you need the mitochondria. But that's, again, we're talking about the accumulation of toxin inside the cell, so intracellular versus extracellular. So I was looking.
What are the two that we should?
So I was looking for the two products that have fulvic acid, not folic acid, but fulvic acid, right? And so now that I told you what ingredient, what products?
Fucoidan.
No. Spectromax.
Spectromax? Oh, okay.
Spectromax and Body Shield.
Body Shield. I can't ever remember the name of that one.
Yeah, because fulvic acid is kind of one of those miracle molecules. That's what the scientists said when they discovered it. It moves healthy stuff in, it pulls the unhealthy stuff back out. So it's kind of doing both. And so they found that it can help pull some of those toxins out of your body, those accumulation of toxins. There's other things like minerals like zeolite and even spirulina, chlorella, I'm trying to think some of the other things that we can cilantro. You know, you throw that in your Mexican food when you're making like a meal, right?
Never have.
You never do?
No.
But so these things will help move that stuff out. But now when you're doing that intermittent fasting, it's going to make it more effective in burning that fat. But getting back to this whole senescence thing, so they started working on these senolytic drugs like chemotherapy that selectively induce this apoptosis in some of these cells. But the problem again being that we're gonna kill off some of the healthy cells, and so now we want to start looking at what's a good second choice, I guess. If chemotherapy, if like people like Aubrey de Grey is saying that chemo is like the first choice, you know, what would be the safe, effective, side effect free type of approach?
Why don't you tell us?
Well, so they found that certain ingredients that come from plants like strawberries, but you'd have to eat like a ton of strawberries in order to get the ingredient. But they found that certain ingredients that are found in fruits and vegetables will take and they'll help with this, getting rid of this senescent cells. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure in from when we're, you know, little young people, we want to start eating fruits and vegetables. They found that extract from black tea helps with getting rid of senolytic cells. They found that, and I can never pronounce this one right. I call it quercetin, Quercetin.
Sounds good.
You think that sounds good?
Sure.
Right? But they found that these cells help with reversing the cells and getting rid of the cells that are no longer functioning properly. So that's kind of cool, and I know there's some other science on it as well, and I know Tom's working on a product.
Yes, I heard that. It's going to be quite the bomb.
The bomb. Yeah. So I mean, I like that because it's basically it's saying let's get rid of all those old, dead, dying cells, you know, and then now using the age pill, let's support the mechanism, the system in your body that you can replace those old damaged cells with new healthy cells.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. A little bit of information I saw where they were saying that you kill off the senescent cell and it creates a new bud to regrow a new healthy cell. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, you clean it up. Basically, you're cleaning it up, and then the body says, "Hey, we got to replace it."
Oh, okay.
Right. What was that movie with Kevin Costner? Build it and they'll come. You know, wasn't it Field of Dreams? Right. Something like that, isn't it? Kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I heard somebody, I think somebody who follows us on the call here, say, I don't know if we should name it the bomb. Like, will that get through customs?
Right? Wow, I never thought about that. Maybe that's true. Oh, what do you got? Oh, I just got a bomb.
The bomb. I just got the bomb.
Right? But I'm just kind of looking at some of this stuff. So they're finding that these amyloid plaques, right? We've talked about amyloid plaques when we did our talks. What did we do? 3 talks on Alzheimer's?
Yeah, how it builds up in the brain.
Yeah, and so what that really is, when you hear people talk about amyloid plaques are where the proteins aren't shaped right. They're folded wrong. They have the wrong folds to them.
Right, wrinkles
in the protein.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so they found, this is kind of interesting. They found that the primary cause of death in the super centurions is because of amyloid plaque in the heart.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't know that. I learned something this morning when I was writing my notes, that that's the, of all the people that live to be like around 120 years old, that's usually the cause of death.
Huh.
So, and the reason that they studied that is because these guys like Aubrey de Grey and that want to find out how do you prevent people from dying? How do you get them to live 250, 350 years old?
Mhm.
And so you study the people that are already living 120. You go, well, what are they dying from?
Right. Right.
And they found it was amyloid plaque, and then amyloid plaque, of course, with Alzheimer's. And then they're studying, the thymus gland, because the thymus gland has to do with the immune system. So they're really studying that as well, and mitochondrial repair, stem cell. So the big thing with the Senolytics then is really looking at the fact that our cells have a programmed lifespan.
Okay.
And when they go into senescence, they just aren't listening to the message.
Listen up.
Listen up. There's something wrong with you. You gotta die.
You're out of here.
You're out of here. So that's that's kind of thing. So when we take a look at like cancer cells, for example, cancer cells, not only do they not listen to the message that says, hey, there's something wrong with you, you got to die, get rid of yourself, but then they start reproducing at a rapid rate, and so they go haywire that way. The DNA that controls their lifespan is damaged, but the DNA on the other stuff is damaged as well. And so that's what cancer cells is. So if we can kill these senolytic cells before they kill us, it'd be kind of cool.
That would be a good thing.
It would be a good thing. It would be a good thing. So, I'm just kind of, watch my notes, watching the time, and it's science is really cool. They've I was just reading this morning. I was surprised that they've raised over $100 million studying Senolytics. It's a new science. It's called Senolytics.
I have a little quote here I wrote down that was pretty interesting. It says, and this is about this field, senolytic field. It says, I've never seen a field grow so quickly. Laura Niederhofer from Minnesota Medical School said, there is a recognition that this has potential here to go to the root cause of aging. So it's like the field is growing very quickly because they're going to probably have a lot of discoveries in regards to this.
But, at the same time, when I did my talk down in Australia, and I'm going to talk when you and I go on our tour of the Midwest here coming up in a month. What can you believe? It's just a month away.
I know.
That's going to be fun. But one of the things that I talk about is that as I go to these anti-aging conferences, we talk about all the great things that we're getting people to live longer. We're starting to figure out how to prevent the aging diseases like heart disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, different things like that. And so we're improving the lifespan and we're improving the health span. But one of the controversial things that they talk about is the fact that, well, aren't we going to have a problem if everybody lives to be too old?
No, I don't think so.
And why's your thinking on that? I mean, I just want to get your opinion.
Well, I've seen reports that you could take everybody on planet Earth and put them in one section of a country, like I don't even remember what country they said or whatever. And there's plenty of room for lots of people.
Lots of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we have tons of resources that haven't even been tapped. We also have tons of medical technology to keep people healthier that hasn't been released. It's been suppressed for years. And I truly believe that in the very near future, we're going to see a release of that medical technology that's going to get rid of a lot of the disease. And so people will be functional. People will be able to produce and contribute to society longer.
Yeah. Well, we're already seeing some of the effects of increasing our health span, increasing our lifespan. I mean, aren't we already seeing the effects? Because back when we were kids, it was pretty common to see a family with 5 or 6 kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you don't really see families with 5 or 6 kids anymore.
Oh, I just saw a report that a country that doesn't maintain 2.1 children in growth per family the country will actually disappear.
Yep, because they're not producing enough children to replace the old people. And so
almost all of Europe and even United States is only doing 1 point something.
Yeah, 1.2 to 1.6. Yeah, so the thing is that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah. So when you hear people saying, "Oh yeah, but if we all live to be 125, 150, 250 years old, the problem with it is that we're going to have too big of a population. We can't sustain that." Well, that's actually already been proven that it's not true, because as you live longer, you tend not to have so many children. And you start to have kids even later in life, because you go, well, if I'm going to live to be 250, I'm going to enjoy some of the things when I'm younger and not have my kids till I'm older.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that people, because of what we've experienced through the last many generations, that people typically live to be around 80, right? That's a typical thing. That we can't in our minds really comprehend living to be 150. We only see it as being from about age 75 to the next 75 years of being like decrepit and in disease and not functioning well. And that isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about that, these discoveries are going to extend our health span, and we're going to be like, instead of being the typical 80-year-old that we are today, when we're 80, we're going to be more like we're 40.
Yeah.
And look at that. I mean, there's 1,000 things I'd love to do, especially now that I'm older and, have a lot of life experience under me. There's a bunch of things I'd like to do, but I'm like going, there isn't enough time for me to do all that stuff that I want to do.
Well, and the other thing is that as you're talking about that, it made me think that, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to stay in the workforce longer, right? Mm-hmm. And that's gonna eliminate the job possibilities, career possibilities for younger people.
Well, not necessarily if we're not producing enough children.
Yeah. Well, but if we take and we start moving people as they get older more into more advisory roles and consultant type of roles, right? And maybe the younger people could actually start to learn to listen to older people instead of thinking that they know more all the time. But that's another subject.
You have a supplement for that?
Yeah, we don't.
I'd like one.
Yeah, I think it's like my dad used to do. He'd just take his belt out and he'd show it to us. Right?
It doesn't work when they get 40, though.
I don't know. It might work.
I don't think so.
But, so I mean, there's a lot of things as we talk about it, and I know folks, we're getting kind of off the subject of the Senolytics, but it's really kind of on the subject, because if we're going to get people so that they stay healthier for longer periods of time, and they found that, like Andrea mentioned, inflammation is a main component of almost every chronic disease. If we can just simply figure out how to get rid of inflammation and get rid of the things that cause inflammation, that by itself will improve the health span.
Right.
And
you'll have a lot less pain.
Yeah. And then if we can take and figure out how to make the digestive system work better.
Mhm.
That's going to get rid of a lot of the inflammation, because a lot of our inflammation actually starts in the gut. So if we can go after that, we can fix the immune system. And we see a lot of scientists putting time into that. And then if we could take and develop products like the age pill, that's going to make it so that your body's own repair cells are always constantly replenishing themselves. That's a good thing. And then if we can come up with something like we're talking about today with the Senolytics, which is basically get rid of those cells that need to be taken out of the system. They need to be just plucked out.
Yep.
Right. So anyhow, I think that pretty much covers the topic, doesn't it? I mean, in a nutshell.
So, I mean, it's basically pretty simple. It's, where your definition was, or
Yes.
mine, like a bad boyfriend that won't go away. So
Right. But yeah, it's just those cells that won't listen to the message that they've been programmed to get rid of. And so we'll get rid of them. We got to figure out how to get rid of them. Anyhow, so Andrea, I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'm going to let you close out the call. And thanks everyone. Thanks for being here. And just kind of think about what we're talking about. It's just food for thought. Food for thought for the future.
That's right. Yeah. So Doc and I and many other people represent a company called Sizzle. I know that's backwards to you, but it's SISEL. And this company is founded by a man who decided that he needed to introduce to the world non-toxic substances over 30 years ago, which is pretty amazing. All of our products are high quality and non-toxic and cutting edge on this anti-aging movement. So if you're just seeing this today, maybe a friend shared it with you or you saw it on their wall, go ahead and get back with that friend and ask them, for more connections and more information, and just learn about some of the things that we're sharing here, and learn about some of the products that we have available to you that are very unique to the world. And I think you'll be happy that you did. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday at noon on the Doctor's Clinic with Doc Viz and friends.
Hey, thanks, Andrea. Thanks, everyone.